Greetings, everybody. Good to kind of see you out there, so to speak. Welcome to another Catch-Up with Mayo on another Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Today is March 8th, 2025. You never know, down the line in the future, I might want to have that preserved. I just had an apple, and the apple's still kind of stuck in my throat. But anyway, be that as it may, hi, everybody. I'm glad that we have a bunch of people already here lined up just to say hello to some people here. Hello to James. What's going on, James? We have No Music, No Life, who says, I am a Motor Speedways Incorporated, but now I am a music channel. I think I remember that name already, though. No Music, No Life, I think. Anyway, I think I remember it. Brad Hill. Hello, Brad. What's going on? Mr. However you say that name. Hello there. And reminding me that don't forget, daylight savings time starts at 2 a.m. I like daylight savings time in the sense that I like when we go back to spring and summertime, is what I'm saying. So I'm happy about that. Unfortunately, tomorrow morning, I have to be up at that, what I call the detention center, classroom thing. I got to go there tomorrow. And usually I get there about, I get there usually, try to get there for 9 a.m. We have to get there 8. Hold on a minute here. Sorry about that. We have to get there 8:30 a.m. tomorrow morning, which means that we're going to be jumping, springing ahead, turning the clocks ahead and everything. So anyway, we're going to be leaving earlier in the morning than we usually do, is what it comes down to. We usually leave to go up there about 7:30. This time we'll be leaving maybe more like, I don't know, 6:45. It's going to be a lot different. Hello, even though I don't really want to kind of challenge saying that name. I said hello last time. I remember seeing the avatar. Johnny, what's going on? Robbie, hello. Joe F. Okay. Let's see. James Gracia, what's going on? Okay, David. Everybody. I'm glad that David had some health kind of concern. He's doing better now. I'm glad to hear that, David, and I appreciate the kind words right back at you. Same to you, David. I'm glad to hear you're doing pretty good. Yeah, I heard that Jaws is coming back to theaters. It doesn't surprise me because I was expecting that because this is the 50th anniversary, 1975 to 2025. So I'm pretty happy that we're going to get Jaws back in the theater. I've seen it in the theater many times, both in 75 and 77 or 8. And when it was brought back in the late 70s. And then I've seen it many times, even in most recent times. Hello, Elvin. How you doing? Let's see. George. Hello. What's going on, George? Do I like Sheryl Crow's music? I do. I like Sheryl Crow, and I do like her songs. Well, the popular ones, the songs I know. I like her. I like Sheryl Crow. David, thank you so much, David. I appreciate you very much, and I'm glad you like the channel. You have a lot of support you show for me, and I appreciate that. Thank you. My homeroom teacher was Tommy Johnson. Homeroom teacher was Shark. I'm a little lost there. The thing about Lady Gaga is, although I don't understand the name, and although I think the name is kind of silly, I don't really get it. But maybe I don't understand it. But she's got a good voice. She's got a good voice. I used to, when I first ever heard of her, I used to frown. Well, for a lady, what? But she's got a good voice, and I like the work that she did on the Rolling Stones album Hackney Diamonds. That song, which the name of it escapes me at the moment, but I like the work that she did on that album. Hackney Diamonds, the Stones. So that's how I feel about that. Listen, folks, I'm going to have a little water, but before I do, I want to explain a little story to you. First of all, I'm drinking, instead of drinking out of my alien green cup, I may be retiring that cup. Okay. And I've had people who watch me for many years know that I drink out of this plastic giant cup. Okay. Anyway, I don't know if you call it a tumbler. Anyway, after I did the show, right after the show, I shut the computer down after last week's show, I should say, last Saturday, and I reached over, I knocked the water onto my keyboard on the laptop. You don't see what the desk looks like here, but the water is a good distance away, but yet it tilted over, and it did go onto the corner. It didn't get the whole keyboard, luckily. It only got the right side, the right corner, just some keys way on the right. Well, I was able to turn it upside down right away, get the water out, pat it dry. I did everything that I could do. I even Googled. I Googled, like, what do you do? What do you do to save a laptop if you get water on it? What do you do? So I was able to take care of it. Luckily enough, there's no ill effects. The computer's still running like it did, and everything's good. But anyway, the point, of course, is I decided to put a bottle of water here, take a sip that way, and always put the top back on, just in case. Now, I've been doing this with a drink on the side. It's 2017. That was 7 years. Almost going to be 8 years. It'll be 8 years later this year. All right. And it's never happened before. So first time for everything. Hopefully not, some things we don't want to happen even first time at all. Let's see. Matthew Smith. Hello. Another great one gone. Rest in peace, Brian James of the Damned. Okay, I'm in better health right now, but I am facing dental issues for the time being, but I'll survive that one. So am I. The other day, I just started feeling like something in my mouth, and it turned out to be a little tiny piece of tooth. Well, it's the very last molar in the back, and it created a sharp edge. And that sharp edge kept rubbing against my tongue when I was talking. This was several days ago. Anyway, I was going to go emergency dental visit to try to see what they can do. It stopped hurting. So in other words, I think somehow it got smoothed out itself. The tooth might have gotten like dulled a little bit in that spot on its own. I still might go to get it checked, but I'm one of those guys. I only go to the dentist when I have to go to the dentist. I'm not one of those guys that goes and, preventative and all that stuff. I go when I need to go, which hopefully is not very often. But anyway, Lady Gaga got her name from the Queen song Radio Gaga. Well, I've heard of Radio Gaga. I never knew that's where she got her name. Hello, Chris. Yes, I do have a copy. It's a very good album. I like all George Martin's instrumental albums. There are a few of them. I have them on vinyl and CD, I believe. There are several of George Martin's albums, and I always love listening to them. And I love the photograph on the back of that album. There's a great photograph of George Martin sitting down on the four Beatles standing behind him at the brink of their stardom in '64. I really love that. So, let me see now. Vinyl pickups. Donny Hathaway, self-titled, and Shrink. Bootleg is Sex Pistols at Winterland. The last concert in the States in San Francisco, where they quit on stage. I didn't know they quit on stage. Boy, they only have one. The Sex Pistols only have one proper album, right? Did you know for the Beatles at Shea Stadium, the Beatles had gone into a studio and re-recorded all the songs for the film? Yes, I did know that. What are your thoughts on the recent passing of Joey Molland? Well, anytime somebody passes, it's sad. I'm sorry that Joey's gone. I went to the Beatle Fest a few times, and Joey Molland of Badfinger, for those who don't know, the last surviving member of Badfinger. He was, and somehow I just never got around to getting a signature or a photo with him. And when it comes to Badfinger, I like about 4 or 5 of their big songs. That's it. I have a CD right now, the best of Badfinger, and that's what I have. Mr. Blood Vessels tells me I'm consuming microplastics. Let me tell you something. Right now, wherever you are, Mr. Blood Vessel, you're inhaling and breathing all kinds of toxins and things in the air. The air is not what it used to be. Pollution. Look, you can't help it. So here's what I say to that comment. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've heard the same thing, that we find plastic sometimes in people's, digestive system or in their bodies. Have you ever participated in a music bracket like March Madness? Very fun to participate in. Not that I remember. Favorite Who album? Who's Next? Who's Next? It's my favorite Who album. Yeah, it is. So I want to tell people, the first time of several, I'm sure, during this chat, that we're going to have a new Talk More Talk episode up. Talk More Talk episode will be up on Monday, this coming Monday, the 10th of March. 9 p.m. Eastern is when it's going to drop. Now, Ringo's also going to have a show on. He's going to have his Ringo at the Ryman with the, Ringo and Friends at the Ryman is going to be on that night as well. So check that out as well. Somehow check them both out. But anyway, it drops this Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern. It has we have 2 guests on the show, which was a lot of fun. Madeline Baccaro, who wrote the book I think it's In Your Mind, the Yoko Ono book. But also we talked to Dan Richter. Dan Richter being somebody who was friends with John Lennon and Yoko Ono for a period of, at least from 1969 to 1973. And it was a real pleasure talking to him. He had a lot to talk about, knowing them for that long, and dispelled a lot of the myths out there that a lot of Yoko haters don't want to hear. But it's funny how every time we get to the friends and the people who really knew them, it's not like people want to believe it is. Now, I'm trying to figure what Johnny is referring to. Let me know. Yeah, the Ringo show is Monday, 8 to 10 on CBS. Okay, George, thank you for popping in. Much appreciated. There's so many things Johnny might not care about, but I'm not sure which one in particular he's referring to here. There you go. They're finding microplastics in almost everyone's blood. Well, like I said, I really honor and appreciate you being very health conscious, and I strive to do it. Right now, I'm striving to do it again, and then, of course, as I freely admit, I go off it. Then I go back on it. Then I go off it. Then I go back on it. And that's been the pattern. But anyway, but I appreciate that you're doing that. I'm trying to do better. But I'm of the belief you try to avoid what you can. But there's a lot of toxins and things out there. You can't do it all. That's my belief. So. I have a few new collectibles, nothing much. I'm wondering what's going on with that. I don't have as much as these other people do. I don't. The way I look at Beatles collectibles is everybody who collects that stuff. We all have some, but there's something different that other people have that you don't. Just the way it is. Enjoying this nice, cloudy, cold, and rainy day, knowing horrible summer's around the corner. You got to be kidding me! I thought not. I didn't think of you personally, Matthew, but I thought of people like you. This morning, when I was going into the mall to do my morning walk, get out of the car. First of all, I could see as I'm in the car, the trees are blowing wildly in the wind. I'm like, there's going to be a lot of wind out there. And I open the door and like I have a cap on at the time. I'm wearing a cap, so I'm grabbing the cap. The wind wants to blow it off, and I closed it. I can barely get out of the car because the wind is so strong, literally. And then I'm walking, and there's a wind tunnel created in the mall, like the shopping area. And I'm walking towards the mall to get in. I'm like, oh, I'm holding my hat. I'm like, eh. And I'm saying, this fucking sucks. I'm saying, how the hell does anybody out there like cool weather, windy weather, cold weather? How in the world does anybody prefer that to the good old summertime? And I almost bought an album, which I still may pick up. It depends if I go back and get it or not. Nat King Cole, Lazy, Crazy, Hazy Days of Summer. Whatever order those 3 words come in. Lazy, hazy, crazy, crazy, lazy. You know? Well, you say it's the best. I say it's the worst. I think what you need to do is to move out of Fort Worth, Texas, where admittedly you have to deal with a lot of bugs. I don't like bugs. And, I don't want it to be that freaking hot either. I mean, as much as I like the summertime, I'm good with 75, 80 degrees like this here. You know what I mean? Okay, but I'll still take 90 before I take 1. But you know that. Well, that's where you live. That's where you live. I don't know what to tell you. Enjoy it because it's coming. The good old summertime is coming. So enjoy that. Okay, and in Honolulu, Hawaii, it's 78 degrees. Nice. I love it. Been listening to Beatles 6 a lot lately. Feel it's a very underappreciated album. Thoughts on Beatles 6? Well, I always defend and stick up for the U.S. Capitol albums. I think they're very underrated. The Beatles 6 is one of my lesser albums. It's not one of my favorites. I appreciate it like I do just about all the Capitol albums. But if I was going to list them in order of preference, I would say that I would put Beatles 6 lower than, it wouldn't be near the top. But I enjoy it. And it's got stuff on there like Yes It Is, which is relegated to a B-side in England, which I can't stand just that, having them B-sides, Whether it was intended or not, I don't care. And the song Bad Boys on there, the rockin' song, Larry Williams cover, that John beats the hell out of with his vocal. And Bad Boys on there, as is Dizzy Miss Lizzy, 2 Larry Williams rockers on there. But the thing about the song Bad Boy is we got it first here. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm 90% sure that the Beatles recorded Bad Boy specifically for the U.S. market to put on Beatles 6, I think. And then later on, of course, in England, it was on the album, a collection of Beatles oldies in the UK with that horrible cover, which I hate. Actually, it was Blue Skies and Upper 80s yesterday. So what are you wasting my time for, Matt? Come on. Are you going to the record show in Garden City at the end of March? No, I will be at the Fest for Beatles fans at the end of the same weekend. So, I don't mind going to the show, but I'm going to be at the Fest for Beatles fans. Should be on some panels over there. So I'm not going to be able to make that show. Okay. My memory isn't always good, but did I mention a convention? Yes, you did. A convention in Edison, New Jersey, that there's 3 members of the Brady Bunch that'll be there. I know you're a fan of the show. I might have very possibly went to that to see them. But again, it's the same weekend as the Beatle Fest. Isn't that wonderful? They got to put the Brady Bunch appearance. They got to put the Beatle Fest. They got to put the record show in Garden City all on the same weekend. Isn't that amazing? About the Capitol albums, I always like Yesterday and Today. It's a great playlist. I agree, Eric. I agree 190%, 200%. Let's even it out on with number 200. Yeah, it's a great album. Are you saying you have this in your collection, Johnny? Those two items, Lunchbox 65 and the Pepsi radio? One of my previous jobs, the company switchboard operator dumped a coffee on the company switchboard, destroying a state-of-the-art switchboard. Manager flipped and she started crying. She shut down our call center. Yeah, that's awful, man. That's awful. Let me tell you, it was a little bit of a shocker, with that happening here. But I acted kind of quickly, and when I had the water on some of the keys, like I said, it was only in the one quarter, the right side, just a quarter of the area. It wasn't the whole area. And I jumped up there. I unplugged it first of all, unplugged it, turned it upside down gently. And I used a hairdryer, believe it or not. I went in and got the hairdryer. I did that. And then, of course, I Googled after I finished the hairdryer. I Googled how to treat water on a laptop. What do you do? And one of the things I read on Google said, you may be tempted to use a hairdryer. Don't, is what it said. So very good, very good, very good. The collection's got those two grand items they mentioned. Matthew Smith, I'm with you. Beatles' second album, Yesterday and Today, and Hey Jude. But I'm also going to put Meet the Beatles and Beatles 65 in there as well. I've been enjoying your videos of Mikey Arugula. This last week, I've been putting handfuls of arugula leaves in my sandwiches. That's funny. For lunch at work. Yeah, Mikey Arugula. Yep. He's a lot of fun. I do videos with him. Well, I'm talking to other people. I already know. Eric knows. Mikey Arugula. Yep. I read that Bad Boy indeed was recorded for the U.S. market. Yes, we had it here in America on Beatles 6 more than a year before they had it in England on that compilation. We also had the songs from Revolver before Revolver came out in England on Yesterday and Today. I'm Only Sleeping, And Your Bird Can Sing, Dr. Robert. We had those songs before Revolver officially came out. Live at Leeds is my favorite Who album. Yep, I've heard a lot about Live. I'm not a big fan of live albums, but I've definitely heard a lot of good things about Live at Leeds. That's for sure. Darren, what's going on? Beatles Now and Then. No singing. No singing, Darren. Maybe for a small price. I visited, recorded in Abbey Road studio. Wait a minute. Are we talking about you're pretending to be Johnny Ramone, the real Johnny? What are we doing here? I don't know. We talking about the Sex Pistols here? My band died, went to heaven. Holy Grail of studios. Hey Jude was a great album. I still think they should have put I'm Down on it. It could have been put before Paperback Writer. Then Revolution could have been on side 2. I definitely think I wish they could have left off I Should Have Known Better and Can't Buy Me Love, and I wish they would have put I'm Down and The Inner Light on it. That's just two that pop out in my head. Could you imagine? I'm Down and The Inner Light. All right, folks. Thanks for joining me today. Quadrophenia is my favorite. Okay, we did 9 original songs in there at the Abbey Road Studios 2. Box top singer in our band, Pacific. And I'm with you. Yes, I like the U.S. Rubber Soul better, much than the Parlophone. I had the Capitol version first, so that's the one I knew. Yeah. I went to Abbey Road. You can't go in though, just to the gift shop on the side. Got to cross the road though. Sometimes they let you go in. I mean, I think at certain times of the certain years, certain events, they let you go in. People have not been able to get into the Abbey Road studio too. That's a mere bag of shells. That's not a lot of money. Yeah, it is actually. There's a live Who album, live at Hull, recorded shortly after the one at Leeds. It's really good, and that price $1,800 a day included an engineer. But better for that money. It had better. They had a bunch of Dark Side of the Moon signs up since it was the 50th anniversary of that album in 2023. And yeah, they recorded it there. I remember in a documentary, I think, learning that. Ah, someone says you can get in anytime. You just open the gate and walk in, but you need to get past the security at the desk. I know what you're referring to. Yes, indeed. I know what you're referring to. Hello, Uncle Paul. What's going on? What's up, my friend? Fest is 3 weeks away. Are you going to the fest, Uncle Paul? Are you going to be there? Yeah, 3 weeks. Wow. Comes fast. The Beatles' second album is my favorite Beatlemania era album. I love the Beatles' second album. A lot of times when people ask me what my favorite Beatles album is, I say that album. It just rocks, man. Oh, great! I'm supposed to be. I say supposed to because I get superstitious, make sure everything stays good. There's a new version of Pink Floyd live at Pompeii. I heard that they found the original negative and that it is sharper and the sound is better. Well, I'm not familiar enough with it to know. Now you're asking me Abbott and Costello or the Three Stooges. How about if I say Laurel and Hardy? No, but seriously, it's fun. I mean, it's weird. I was always a Three Stooges fan my entire life, and lately I'm getting sick of the Stooges. Maybe because I've gotten stooged out. I've seen them too much. I get put it this way: a little bit of the Three Stooges goes a long way. Too much of the Three Stooges, it gets monotonous. Too much of slapping around and stuff. I love both. I love Abbott and Costello and the Three Stooges, I guess. Yeah, I'm going to the Beatle Fest if everything's well, if I stay well, if everything goes good, if nothing happens, if the world doesn't explode or anything. Yeah, I'm supposed to be there all 3 days. Yeah, I hear you. You love the Beatles' second album too. You're the same way. You'll be calm once you have your room. Yeah, because these days, I mean, people get sick. I've gotten sick in March. I've gotten sick in February. It happens. Yeah, I expect to be on at least one panel, maybe two, maybe three. The funny thing is, even though it's 3 weeks away, nothing's been finalized yet. Believe it or not, the panelists don't usually find out what's going on. They don't get the lay of the land, the schedule and everything until like a week before, if that. You know, Laurel and Hardy, W.C. Fields, Buster Keaton, and Marx Brothers. Yep. Are you going to try Name That Tune again? I don't know. You know, there's kind of I don't know if it's an unwritten rule that if you're there at the fest and you're kind of a guest, like I'll be considered like a guest, I guess. and a guest with no benefits, I should add, but maybe a guest nonetheless. But the thing is, if I'm going to be on the panels and stuff like that, I don't think they they like you. Maybe they prefer you not join in on these things. Nobody's ever said that. Nobody's ever come right out and said that. Playing on the games and everything, but leave it for the other. Leave it for the other people. No more Los Angeles Beetle Fest. Lapidus Fear of Flying. I don't know what the truth is on that. I had heard once that they didn't do well one time. I don't really know what the deal is with that. And I'm still trying to decide whether or not I'm going to go to Chicago. Perfect timing. Look who's here. Kit is here. Perfect time. Hello, Kit. She hopes to have news. Please let me know what's going on. Please, ASAP. And this is a good time to say, and I already promoted it once. I'll promote it again. Talk More Talk is going to drop our new episode. It's Monday. It's coming Monday, March 10th at 9 p.m. Eastern over on the Talk More Talk channel. Please get over there. Subscribe. Please. We want to get up to 2,000 subs. We're almost there. And this show is going to have Madeline Baccaro, who wrote the book on Yoko Ono, and also joined by Dan Richter, who was a personal friend of John and Yoko's, and was in the worked with them in the studio and everything. He did. He was a photographer, did all kinds of stuff with them, and he's going to be there too, which was amazing talking to him. He's got a lot of good stories. Okay, he's John and Yoko's assistant from 1969 to 73, and friend, and he lived at Tittenhurst Park, I believe. So. Where are we here? I bought an ad in the Fest program. You did? Really? Let's see, where am I at here? Are there ever booths at the show that focus on one particular album? Not that I know of. The last time I went to LA, the attendance was really low in 2014. He hasn't been there since. You better come to Chicago. I almost forgot about that. I'm going to see how it goes. I might go because I don't like traveling alone. And especially, on a flight and all the jazz associated with it. I don't do that. Just me. However, Mikey Arugula is going to go. And if he goes, maybe we can fly together. It's just an idea. Plus, I got to get the cash. It's a lot of money. Any chance of getting Elliot Mintz? Well, I don't know if Kit wants to talk about that. I don't want to put you on the spot, Kit, but you let me know. I was thinking of going to the fest in Chicago last summer, but then my uncle died. I'm sorry about that. And I changed a lot of plans. I might go this year. Oh, I'll tell you, Eric, you'll be your one guy I'd like to meet if I go. I really appreciate your support, man. Yeah, the thing about this, too, is if the attendance was low in 2014, I mean, that was a big year. That's the 50th anniversary of the Beatles, in America. Well, not New York, but in America. So, if I had a booth, it would be called All About Revolver. Too bad I can't make it. Sorry about that. Let's see, 35 years ago, there's a booth dedicated to the Butcher covers. The guy had hundreds for sale. Be nice to meet you. I also would like to meet Kid O'Toole and Mikey Arugula. Well, they're both going to be there. And I had a Chicago hot dog, and I would do another. And there was some debate there. Kid introduced me to the Chicago hot dog, and it was very good. And then somebody else was saying, I think it was Tom, Mr. Beatles Pro. He was like, no, that's not the best Chicago hot dog. They were like arguing over what the best Chicago hot dog was. So, There you go. I didn't know if I was at liberty to say this. We tried to get Elliot Mintz, but he's no longer doing interviews. He's done with the press tour, apparently. That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Chicago pizza, is it even pizza? Well, these are fighting words. You got Kit here, and she's from Chicago, and she'll defend it. I've always rebelled against the Chicago hot dog by putting ketchup on it. Yeah. That's an Abbott and Costello routine. Got to get you the real Chicago pizza next time. But yeah, the pizza that I had there was good. It was good. But wait a minute. Somebody, actually, I'm trying to think. I forget. All I know is somebody ordered out for pizza and they got it. And what I remember is they were little tiny pieces, a lot of little squares. It wasn't like the regular size. First of all, I put mustard on hot dogs. But I could do ketchup, I could do barbecue sauce. Fine. So yeah, I'm really excited about the fest. I love going to the fest. The reason I like going to the fest is because I get to meet you people. I really, really, that's what I like. I like meeting you people. I like meeting people that watch the channel. There's always somebody new that I haven't met before that's going. And I also like to get together with my friends, all the people that do channels, my co-hosts on Talk More Talk. I love it. That's what I like doing. Okay, that pizza I described was the tavern style. Yeah, I can't remember the last time I had a hot dog. Oh no, actually, I recently did actually shoot. Oh, you already had the hot dog experience, so pizza's next. Italian beef too. Yeah, I also had the flying experience there. As I say, when it comes to me saying I don't like to fly, I'm not talking about fear of flying, although in the news lately, a couple of incidents really scared me, but I don't have a fear of flying. I've flown before. What I just don't like, getting to the airport, waiting around, checking your luggage, the whole, that kind of crap. You know, delays, that kind of stuff. Talking about deep dish. How is Joe from the record store? Is he okay? I just saw him today, and he was okay, and he was joking around. We had a few jokes, and yeah, there you go. There we go. So, whatever you just want to talk about, within reason, because I reserve the right not to talk about things here if I don't want. If you don't want to fly, you can take the train and spend the extra time reading. Well, I wonder if taking the train has its own aggravation. You know what I mean? Because it's not the fly, it's not the actual flying, it's the aggravation and everything you got to do in between. Yeah, you know what else I hate? Yeah, I like this. Airport is like a colonoscopy procedure. The prep is horrible, but the procedure isn't too bad. That's a good way of putting it. But not is it just the prep with the flying that sucks in the airport. I hate taxiing. You sit there, you're all ready to go. You think they're going to take off, and you sit there and go around in a circle for like half an hour. I mean, come on. I don't know. But, we'll see what happens as it gets closer to the Chicago Fest date, because I'm not going to promise anything. I had a great time. I had a great time in Chicago last August. And I liked the hotel very much. Nice big hotel, it was nice. But It wasn't any of that. It was just like I say, the aggravation and stuff. The fest itself was great. It was getting there and going home and all that stuff. When is your next road trip with Anthony? Well, that could be any time, really. We were supposed to get together yesterday, believe it or not, but something came up with me and I wasn't able to get together. But something funny happened with Anthony, I'll say, since you mentioned Anthony. You know, remember the Frankenstein model kit with the eyebrows painted on that he bought? He spent like $90 on it. Then he got tired of it in like a month or something like that. And then he sold it to the guy who curses a lot for like $100. He made like $10 on it. Anyway, Anthony tends to do that a lot, you know. And he, you know, a lot of times you'll see we make videos where he likes comic books, Batman, usually Superman, Batman. Well, I was at the record store the other day and I saw some Batman comic books in there, and I'm looking at them, and I said to Corey, I said, these Batman comic books are cool. I think my friend Anthony's going to want to look at these. He'll probably like them. Corey tells me those comic books in there, they are Anthony's. He sold them back. Well, he didn't buy them there. I think he bought them at somewhere else. But yeah, how long is the drive to Chicago? Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I've never seen Dracula 2000. I can't bear to see that. And then Mikey bought it back for $150. Have you ever had a booth at Beatle Fest? No, I never have. You know, I have a lot of. It's funny because I have stuff that I wanted to sell, Beatles related stuff, solo Beatles related stuff, but the prices are just too expensive. If that's what you're talking about by booth, if you're talking about getting a table or an autograph, well, like, you know, Kit sells her books and she's got a table. Well, I don't have anything to sell. If I ever write a book, then maybe I'll get a booth. See how that goes. But, you know, I've never thought of a topic. You know, I mean, the topics are all done, really, Beatle-wise. I think. I'm sure people are going to be out there saying, no, you're wrong. There's always plenty of topics ripe for writing, you know. Okay, we got a little lull here. If the lull lasts long enough, I'm going to have to take a sip of water. That's what I do during the lulls. So, okay, we'll talk about this. Yeah, I was very surprised. Unfreaking believable. There was a show, Two Legs. They were talking about what was young people that, and I love that. Like a lot of other fans, I love young people who join the Beatles community. All right. Well, it turned out that these two young people were on there. I won't say who they are. Hopefully, you won't repeat it. They'll probably say who they are. But anyway, it's up to you, not me. And the question they were asked on this show, the question was, out of all the years of the Beatles, say 1960, all the way to like the present day, what do you find to be the most interesting period, or the most impressive period, or most fascinating, favorite period? Both guests said that their favorite period was the 1980s. And as I say, that's great. Everybody can have their opinion, sure, but I couldn't believe it because John Lennon wasn't even alive in the 1980s. And that shows you, when I say John Lennon's been marginalized, when I say John Lennon's been forgotten, You think I'm kidding? I mean, could you imagine that? Could you imagine that? I mean, my favorite period was probably 1963 to 65. 63, 64, 65 is my personal period. I'm definitely going to pick a period when the Beatles were together, for one thing, four of them. But even if you would pick, I think somebody else picked, another person picked 1973. At least in 1973, all the solo Beatles were working and everything. I just don't get that. And that's my reaction to someone's opinion. An opinion can't be right or wrong, but that's my reaction. Let's see. Where are we going here? What Beatles song would you like to see in a comedy movie and why? Never gave that a thought. I never gave that a thought. Yeah, Daytime Revolution, very good documentary. I did a video on it if you want to check it out. We also did a talk show about it. How bad would it have been if George left the band and John actually replaced him with Clapton? The entire sound would change. Well, I've always believed, and I think the Beatles themselves, even John was probably just being sarcastic, being a wise guy, because everybody knows the Beatles are those four guys: John, Paul, George, Ringo, and that's it. So in 1967, right? That's a good year to pick. The Beatles were beyond prolific. You mean your favorite period isn't like 1986? That's not your favorite Beatles? My favorite period was 1966. Oh yeah, I'll stand by that. Yeah, Rick, I stand by that. John is marginalized. Yeah, not as good as Paul anymore. A lot of people feel. Not everybody, obviously, but some people like are too young. When I say young people, one of them I believe is one of them. Geez, I don't know if one of them was in his early 30s. Another one's in his 20s. What's going on, Penny Lane? And both of them, their favorite period, or most interesting period, is a period without John in it. I don't get it. 1966 to 1968. But boy, all kinds of years is being talked. I find the pre-Beatles, 1956 to 61, the most interesting. Yes, remember, all of the Beatles were not even age 30 when they broke up. A lot of people pick Revolver, Maximum Input, 1966, Maximum Input Revolver, from all the Beatles compared to some of their later albums in particular. I am particularly interested in the Beatles in 66. There is a great book, Beatles 66, The Revolutionary Year. That's the name of it. There you go. '66 book has a chapter for each month. December 65 to December 66. To change the topic fast, what do you think of the Sven squad on Sven Gulli? I like Gwen Gulli. Yeah, I like Gwen Gulli, and what's the other one? Nostalgia Ferratu. Yeah, they're good. Those two. I don't know about the other ones, if there are any other ones. I found it interesting that they would choose after John died, reasoning that without their leader, how they would proceed. I wrote, I lived during that time and never thought about that. Well, that was what one of them said. One of the guests said. However, the host said, and rightly so. Do you think they were thinking about that? Um, Without their leader, how would they proceed? I don't think that was really a factor. I mean, it's interesting, to wonder what are they going to do in the wake of John's death. And we know, like George, for example, did all those years ago, and Paul did here today on Tug of War. But overall, I don't really think that was as much of like a big thing in how it affected their solo careers, in any way, shape, or form. I never thought that. Dino Dino likes the Two Virgins and the Wedding Album and Life with the Lions. You really like those, Dino? What does Beetle Fest cost for 3 days? And you can see it all in one day if you want to. I don't know why the number $269 is in my mind for 3 days. It's a thing where they have an offer every time the tickets go on sale. You can get a 3 day pass, early prices. They give you a short period of time where if you get it right away, you save money. Then later it's the regular prices. 260. Okay, yeah, 260 or something like that. Yeah, for 3 days now. And you ask, can you see it all in one day if you want to? Well, they have different events on different days, sort of. I always say Friday, if you're going to skip a day, skip Friday because there's not much that happens Friday, honestly. But there's still things on Friday that you might not see. Saturday's the biggest day, the most crowded day. Sunday, not as crowded. But Saturday, if you're only going to go one day, Saturday's probably the day to go. Uh, or Saturday and Sunday. I knew somebody would bring this up. Yeah, Danny's doing fine, and we're doing fine, the two of us, and Danny's doing fine. Yes, I don't mean it like that, Eric, but I mean I feel like I answer the same. Yeah, he's doing good, everything's fine. But I feel like people always ask. Yeah, Friday's a good day for buying. You can look at it that way. If you get there, if you're interested in buying stuff, you could get there on Friday and get first crack at things. But the other thing is, if you wait till Sunday at the end of the convention, people maybe start lowering their prices as when they're trying to go home. That's another thing too. You could go on Saturday if you're going for one day. That's probably the best. But there's some great stuff on Sunday too. Yeah, Saturday or Sunday are the best 2 days. I mean, I've gotten to the point now where I want to go Friday as well. I used to skip Friday, but I go Friday now because this is what I do and getting a chance to meet people. Another thing is, like you said, it's good to buy. You can buy early if you want to buy anything, But also, if you're interested in any autographs, um, a lot of times there are less people there on Fridays, so you can get the autographs over with. I like the idea. If there are any autographs I want to get, I get the autographs on Friday. Now I'm good for the rest of the weekend. I don't have to worry about the autographs anymore. There's always a lot of stuff to keep busy with, and I don't have to worry about getting on lines for autographs and things like that. The 1990s Friday was the setup day and get to know you, right? It's pretty much the same now. I love the fest for fun and friends. Have been going seriously since '74. Holy shoot, man! I've gone since '81. My first fest was '81 after John died. Why? Don't blame me. I was younger, I guess. Yeah, I used to do one a day record shows in Toronto in the '80s. One booth would cost 75, and I could never sell over 2,500. Well, I hear that the prices are so ridiculous for a table, sell things, vendor. Yes, a caucus, right? New Jersey. Yeah. You're not kidding about that. Oh yeah, big difference. See, the thing though is there were a lot of younger people that never went to the fest before. For those younger people that don't have anything to compare it to, they love the new fest. They have a great time now when they go. They don't know what a fest is like in the '70s or '80s or even '90s. What's my favorite John Lennon song from the Milk and Honey album and why? Uh, I feel like my first gut reaction is to say I don't want to face it, just because it's rock. It's more of a rock song. But I mean, "Grow Old with Me" is beautiful. "Living on Borrowed Time." Borrowed Time has a good sentiment to it. You know, I can tell you the worst song on it. "Forgive Me, My Little Flower Princess." And of course, "Nobody Told Me" was a fun song. It's a fun song. "Nobody Told Me" is a lot of fun. Uh, "I Don't Want to Face It" rocks, and "Borrowed Time" is philosophical. So I mean, I like those three the best. What's up, John? If the London cops didn't show up while the Beatles were filming Rooftop Concert, do you think George would have got a song or two to perform? I don't think George was going to perform. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think he was going to sing anything. Well, that's a good question. Was it ever planned that George was going to sing a song on the rooftop? I don't think so. Yeah, John had Ringo in mind. At least there's an outtake or two from the double fantasy sessions, which became Milk and Honey too, where he says this one probably for Ringo, this one something, this one's probably for Ringo or something like that. Yeah, there's also a song called "Life Begins at 40," a demo that supposedly John was going to give to Ringo. That would have been very good for Ringo. Yes, Fred. We're sorry about that. Yeah, we talked about Joey Mullen very briefly before. Thank you. Yeah, everybody misses the large vendor rooms. I mean, you got to remember in the '70s and '80s and even the '90s, there was no Amazon, there was no internet, no big computer buying. Everything was there, so it was huge. So there you go. I got good memories of that stuff. But I didn't go every year. I didn't go every year. I went in '81, '82, '83, and '84. And then I stopped for a while until I think 90, 91, 92 maybe. And then there was one point, believe it or not, I didn't go to the fest from like 1993, 93 or 94. I didn't go to the fest again until like 2012. So I missed a lot. And I got to be honest with you. The only reason I go now, really, I think, because I have the channel. If I didn't have the channel, if I wasn't going to be on some talking panels, if I didn't go there to say hello to people like Kit, Tom, Andy, Beetle, Brad, Matthew Street sometimes, Marv, A lot of people that I know from being online and meeting the people who view my channel. I don't know if I'd go. Yeah, and that's the thing too. That's another thing. Exactly, the video room, because you couldn't see videos or films. There was a time when you didn't have VCRs, you didn't have DVDs, you didn't have streaming, you didn't have any of that stuff. You had to go to the Beatle Fest to see that stuff, and it was a lot more fun that way. I mean, it's great to have the stuff at our fingertips here too now, but boy, it was a special treat to go there. You know. Yeah, well, during that period, I didn't go on the anthology period. I wasn't going then. Yeah, I missed a lot of guests and a lot of opportunities. Yes, indeed. Just a reminder again that Ringo's country special, Ringo and Friends at the Ryman, or whatever it's called, that was recorded in February, is going to be aired Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Uh, Same kind of time that at 9 o'clock Eastern, we're going to have our video drop of Talk More Talk. So make sure you watch both. Yeah, that is a Planet of the Apes lunchbox. All the way. I'm a Planet of the Apes fan too, and a collector, and there it is, right there. That was the first time that I saw a Magical Mystery Tour at the Beatle Fest 78 in Chicago. Very good. I wonder if Ringo's TV special will outdo his 78 special, which was number 65. Yes, we will cover Ringo's show, of course, on Talk More Talk. Yes, we'll be giving our thoughts on that show. So please, again, subscribe to Talk More Talk if you haven't, people. Please, it'll help us get up to 2,000. What was your first Beatle album that you bought from Joe's record store? I have no idea, but I will tell you this: the way that I found Joe, Bazooka Joe, at the record store I go to, I looked up in the yellow pages and found his store. And I traveled to his store, and that's where I sold my Beatle records. I sold my Beatle records and bootlegs and things to him before I knew him, and that was back when I was getting rid of my Beatles stuff albums, first collection. Since then, I've gotten them all back in better shape than they were, most of them, so I'm happy. But also, I didn't just sell them all to Joe's store. I also sold some online back then. Maureen McCormick, that's Marsha Brady, did a slasher movie as a cop who gets excited when blood is spilled on her. I never heard of that. I never read any of the books. I know Greg's got a book, Cindy's got a book, Marsha's got a book. Yeah, I think Bazooka Joe Bubblegum, I think it was a penny when I was growing up. I don't believe I've ever seen the Fab Four. I've seen the Fab Four, FOUR, and they were good. I've seen clips of the Fab Four, and they're really good. Yeah, yep. That's all we needed back then was little fun stuff like that, right? Bazooka gum was a penny for many years. No taxing that. Correct. Correctamundo. Ah, yes, I remember that. Okay, Eric, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Playhouse is doing an episode in May on Bazooka Joe items. Uncle Paul's Beatles Pop Playhouse, by the way, is a channel you might want to check out. This particular channel has a lot of collectible items, a lot of nostalgia, good old days stuff. So please check him out too. No problem, Uncle Paul. Marcus, my John Lennon friend, how you doing? You and me, man. I was talking about that opinion that two of us younger people had. Us, you're younger too. What am I talking about? You're in your 20s as well. We talked about that earlier. Their opinion, which they're entitled to, that the 1980s was the most interesting favorite years for them, for the Beatles, from 1960 to present. Keep waiting for another movie worth seeing to come out. Nothing since the Dylan movie and Nosferatu. Though Nosferatu was just okay. Yeah, I really didn't like it. Oh, Dino says, I love you. Oh, Dino, you're breaking my heart. John Lennon fan here. I'm sorry. I have to remember that, Russ. Remind me next time. It may take a while for me to remember. But I mean, it's so hard. You can count them on one hand these days. I mean, really, it's like that, You go to a Beatles convention, a Beatle Fest, and they have people that get on stage that participate in trivia contests or name that tune. And they get up there and people say, and who's your favorite Beatle? Paul. Oh, okay, bye-bye. Where are you from? I'm from Los Angeles. And who's your favorite Beatle? Paul. Third person going, where are you from? I'm from Kentucky. Who's your favorite Beatle? George. Once in a while you get a George in there. I'm just saying. Oh, that's refreshing. Refreshing to know. Yeah. Saves me some throat if I don't read every question. Oh, sure. I remember those pretzel things. Yeah. Sure do. Hmm. Okay, you can read this comment about the best sounding Abbey Road. I don't know anything yet about the one-to-one concert on Blu-ray. All I know is that it's going to be playing somewhere March 11th on Tuesday. I think in New York City it's playing somewhere. I can't go. Tuesdays are the worst possible day for me. I can't go on Tuesday, but it's going to be getting played at theaters April 11th. So you get a chance to see it March 11th and April 11th. It'll be at some theaters, and then I think after that as well. Oh yeah, well, it's an odd opinion once. The opinion is odd enough once, Marcus, but twice. Holy cow! Everybody's entitled to it. I get it. Well, I'm only using that example to show what I said, that people they've forgotten about him, John. People, not everybody. There's not everybody. Either they've forgotten about him, or they think negatively of him and nothing else but negative, and that's a shame. I do have an album called The The Beatles versus the Rolling Stones. I do. My favorite Beatles songs: "Tomorrow Never Knows," She Said," Dr. Rob," Eddie Bird Can Sing," "Rain," "I'm Only Sleeping." Oh my God! Everybody wants something to hide except me and my monkey. Everybody's got something to hide. Yes, I see the pattern there for sure. Your Blues. Yep. Well, I don't think there's any contest. I think John is always the most interesting, philosophical, intelligent Beatle. I think he'd always be the one most interesting to have a conversation with. I don't know what year this was. A lot of people don't know this, but you know, yeah, George did have some side relation with Ringo's wife. Yeah, that's true. According to Patty, right? Patty's the one that said that. It's hard to believe that Ringo sued George at one point. At least a good tune, Sue Me, Sue You Blues, came out of it. Well, the thing is, I don't know how many times he sued them, but one of the things that he sued George over was George sued Ringo. I'm getting backwards. George sued Ringo over, and I'm getting mixed up. Was that song "I'll Still Love You"? It's a song called "I'll Still Love You" that George wrote. It was on the 1976 album "Road of Reviewer," and George didn't like the mix that was used. That event was 73, Georgia Maureen. Well, I do think that George was interesting. Yes, I do. I think both. I think John and George, honestly, and this is my opinion. We talked about everybody having opinions. In my opinion, I think John Lennon and George Harrison were the two most interesting Beatles to talk to. Probably. I think Paul and Ringo were the most accessible and uh, hardest working. So in a way, we lost something with. We lost a lot. We lost a lot by John and George being gone so early. But the two Beatles who remain are the ones that put out always tended to put out the most albums and music and be more public and stuff. So there you go. Very introspective. Yeah. Kyle Kidd seems very informed on Beatles and is always on two legs. I guess it was an error on my part that I was expecting him to let his hair down more on Ken's and talk about different concepts. Yeah, fair enough. I think they are all interesting and would love to have a conversation with any of them. Well, me too. I'm just saying, if you had to pick one, who would you pick, right? Question. Hello, Andrea. True, everyone can have an opinion, but for those of us who live through it, to say your favorite period is the 80s seems totally delusional. Wow. You come right out and say it. I doubt they'd feel that way if they experienced it. Andrea, you're going to be at the Fest for Beatles fans? Hello, Jim. Greetings. How's that for an energetic greeting? John and Paul faced the media the most compared to George and Ringo, obviously. They were often funny when they all went at it, like Ringo and George could be funny. Yeah. All right. So hold on. It would be John. I smoked cigs then and would love to have smoked and had a chat on the street, if only. Very sadly, I have a travel conflict, so sorry I'll miss the Beatle Fest. Oh, okay. Sorry. Look forward to the videos and to see you next time. You too. Okay. I wonder what Sutcliffe would have done had he lived. They might have tapped him through the revolver cover, maybe not. That's interesting. Well, of course he'd probably keep up with his art, I guess. Seems like that's where his heart was. But the thing is, yeah, that would be interesting. He probably could have prepared different projects for the Beatles, album covers and things like that. That's a good observation. I think it's a good bet. I can sort of see the 80s being a favorite period if you lived through it. I first discovered the Beatles in the 80s, so I have personal memories. But overall, no, I'd pick a year in the 60s. Yeah, so would I. Um, yeah, I don't think I forget. I'm trying to do the math. I'm not good at that, especially when I'm doing this. I don't think the two people in question lived through the 80s. But yeah, you're saying in general, you could see that. Okay, yeah, he would have replaced Paul. Joke. I don't know what I don't know what the Harrison estate. It's anybody's guess. And George has got, by his own admission, so much music that he has that he could put out. Matchstick Man. No, I do not have that CD you're asking about. I didn't see that episode, so I wasn't sure of the ages of the young fans. It's the Young Bloods special. Yeah, Twist and Shout, John's best vocal, one of many. One of many. I like how Klaus Vorman has George positioned most prominently and in front of the others on the Revolver cover. The way George counts in the album and does his taxman that starts it all. Born in 79, so I'm partial to the 80s, but retrospectively, love 60s, 70s, 80s, early 90s. Fair enough. Ba, 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 ba. Oh, look at all these young people. Well, you're lucky young people. Favorite tracks on All Things Must Pass. Oh my God, almost all of them. How about if I tell you the songs I'm not that wild about? I Dig Love. I'm not that wild about. I think that's the only one I'm not that wild about. I like all the other ones. I could name a lot of them. You know, I mean, now, I'll tell you what. Go to the playlists. Go to my playlist. Look up Fab Gab. And scroll down, if you haven't watched it already, to a show I did with All Things Must Pass with me and my panelists. I don't know how many we had there. It could have been one other person, maybe more than one. We ranked our favorite songs on All Things Must Pass, from our least favorite to our most favorite. You'll get my top ones there. That's a fun show. Okay, I'll take that. Okay, let's see. Coming up is Paul's best 80s tune. The rest of not so much. What is his best 80s tune? You got me. Oh, you kidding? What about the Tug of War album? Wanderlust is one of my favorite of the 80s from him. I'm trying to think real quickly. No More Lonely Nights, Wanderlust, Take It Away, Here Today. Notice I didn't say anything from Press to Play. But Only Love Remains. If I was going to pick one, I'd pick Only Love Remains off that. And for Flowers in the Dirt, I would go with like this one and put it there. Apple Scruffs is not one of my favorites on it, but I like it, but it's one of my lesser favorites. This Boy in Isolation, two incredible John vocals. Live on This Boy, he can really bring it. I agree. Oh, Lila's here. Do you think McCartney was the type of person that if he didn't like something in the studio the other members of the Beatles recorded, he would go in on his own to re-record over the original take? I think I'm guessing he could be like that, but I think he'd more tell somebody more what he wants. I think especially if it's his song, tell the others, you know. Very good, very good, very good. Very good. All right. Oh yeah, Waterfalls. It's not one of my favorites. I mean, I like it enough, but there's a few there. There you go. See you, James. Thank you so much for being here. Coming up, but also great songs on McCartney too. Tug and No More Lonely Nights. Also, otherwise, so the rest of that decade. And I also love Spies Like Us. Take it, accept it. That's what it is. Exactly. I thought that's right. That's what it is. She has an advantage being born on leap year. Exactly. Take it away. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yes, I do like Neil Young. Do I like everything he ever did? No, but I do like Neil Young. I like enough of his stuff and his style to say I do like Neil Young. Yeah, I like Once Upon a Long Ago too. Good. I like Back on My Feet. Another one. There you go. There you go. I'll admit I haven't listened to the Beatles solo stuff. I keep intending to. That's why we ask you tune into the channel, my channel, subscribe if you haven't. I know you have probably, but also talk more talk. We mainly talk about solo Beatles stuff. Beatles also as a group occasionally, but we specialize over there in solo Beatles. I'm starting to think I might have to do these shows later. I thought 4 o'clock was a good time, but now I'm seeing that maybe I should start a little later on Saturdays, huh? Maybe 5 o'clock. I heard Spies on the Beatles channel the other day, first time in forever. Musically, great fun. Well, that's what I like. I like it musically. Lyrically, well, but I still like it pretty much, even if it's kind of goofy. Yeah, it's mostly for the music, the way it rocks out. Yeah, and with Neil Young right now, I'm good with the Harvest. Harvest is an album that I like just about the whole album. You know, I should say. There you go. Stephen Stills. There you go. What do you remember trying to download when we had dial-up? I just remember how long it took to get on, all that stuff. That's all I remember about that. Say was a catchy, great dance tune, often overlooked. I think due to Jackson's Thriller dominance. I don't know. It was pretty big at the time. Say was a pretty big. There you go. No, I will not be seeing Pink Floyd. I like Pink Floyd here and there, but no, I won't be seeing it. I was going to see the Led Zeppelin documentary because I like Zeppelin better than Pink Floyd, but I wound up not going. But I would have seen that. Oh man, I'm getting like a thigh cramp from the chair. You ever get that? Anybody? Like you sit on a chair too long and it like digs into you. Uh, what was the best year for movies being made? Oh, that's 1 year. Everybody says 1939. You know, I mean, well, I don't know. 1970, 71, 73, 39. I remember driving to Chicago summer '83 and hearing say every 15 minutes on the radio. Yep, and Sweet Dreams and the Safety Net. I love all those songs. Yeah, that was my club hopping days. Sometimes I refer to my club hopping days. I was 21 in '83. In 21, I went to the clubs, and those were the big songs. There you go. Yep. Talk, more talk. Chat, more chat. I don't like that song too much. There you go. Yeah, the video was played constantly. Absolutely. I remember that. I'm not sure about this. George Harrison was not a fan of Neil Young. How about the guy from Leonard Skinner? Was he a fan? Was he a fan? Yeah. We need the Wall movie on Blu-ray. I like the album The Wall, and I saw that movie in the theater. I did see that movie in the theater. Very good. Yeah, because there's a lot of fun to be had. The thing I love about the Beatles and then the solo Beatles is the Beatles don't stop at 1970, and they don't stop at 1975 for those people that venture out into the solo careers. I like that you have the great Beatles phenomenon of the 60s. Then they break up, they go their own ways. Then you have four different paths to enjoy. Go down those paths, you know? And some of it is great, great. Some of it is good, good. Some of it is average. Some of it sucks. That's my feelings on it. It's my opinion. But to me, it's way more worthwhile than not. Um, an artist around today that you think might still be around in 20 or 30 years' time. There's only one that I can think of, and his name is Keith Richards. uh, don't start at 5 p.m. It's too late for Europeans. Well, you can still 10 o'clock. Well, why, you go to bed at 10 o'clock? No, I mean, we'll see. I may start a little late. Well, not for nothing, Patrick, but you didn't come on here in the comments till late into my stream. You didn't come on at 4 o'clock when I started. But seriously, I mean, I maybe 4:30 or something. I don't know. When Paul released Mary Had a Little Lamb, I didn't know what to. I mean, I was only I was 11 years old at the time, so. But I thought even then it was kind of stupid, to be honest with you. And I feel really sorry for the members of Wings at the time. especially Henry, having to play on that. Now I know people go, "Oh, how dare you!" But I mean, that's the kind of thing that got Paul Van a reputation in those days. But these days, I can listen to Mary Had a Little Lamb, and I'm fine with it. I remember seeing it for the first time when I was a kid on a very popular show called The Flip Wilson Show. You know, and I was thinking, wow. Beatles forever. Well said. Is the flea market starting to kick in again? Now the weather is getting better. We're not quite there yet. I think in April. I think the flea market will start in April. We are 6 hours ahead, not 5. Oh, really? I thought it was 5. Even when we changed the clock? So when we change the clock, will it still be 6 hours? That's true, though. Patrick. That's another reason why I try to do it a little earlier. But I'm finding that more people have arrived here watching my stream as we get to 5:30 Eastern. Then we're here 4 o'clock. But let's see. My brush with rock greatness was when I shake Keith Richards' hand. One thing, Keith Richards is so flipping cool. Okay? Keith Richards was always cool, man. I got to give him that. What a cool guy. Always seems to be willing to be cool to the fans. Cherry Carter, what's going on? Right, yeah. Well, I remember, I think we talked about this once before. I remember Paul saying one time specifically, people thought that I wrote Mary Had a Little Lamb as a kind of protest thing, as if to say, go ahead now, try to ban this now. But he said, that's not why I wrote it. So I remember an interview where he said that and denied that that's why he did it. So, hello, Retrovision, what's going on? But yeah, back to what I was saying about the time. It's always a conscious thing. Like, if you want to do a live stream, if you want to pick a live stream time, that's going to be a kind of regular time. You got to keep people in mind from like England and stuff. You're never going to be able to make everybody happy. So maybe some people aren't available on Saturdays. Saturday is the day I chose right now, and maybe not everybody's available on Saturdays. So there you go. Yeah, that's the Keith Richards track, right? Yeah, it's one of my lesser favorites on that album, but I still like it enough. Paul said he wrote Mary Had a Little Lamb for his kids. I wonder if these days, when his kids hear Mary Had a Little Lamb, I wonder if like Mary, Heather, I wonder if they say thanks, Dad, but no thanks these days. I wonder. Paul probably got the most flack for his song "Silly Love Songs." Well, that's beautiful because that to me that's one of the best songs he ever recorded and one of the best bass lines he ever did. And the thing about it is, what's beautiful about that song is that song was a dig at the critics. That one was. That is deliberately sappy and in your face like that because he wanted to tell them off. So that I like that about it. I like the Some Girls album, but the song Before They Make Me Run is eluding me right now. And that comment burned him in the future. Paul should stop writing songs for his kids and write for his fans. Ouch. Some Girls, right? A great album, especially when you go back to it after a while. Yeah, yeah. I prefer the original '76 recording of "Silly Love Songs" myself, but some people have said they like the one from Broad Street even better. So, there it is. Yeah, finally you woke up. I know you're being sarcastic because very famously on this channel, Matthew Smith and I have gone back and forth about the song "My Love." Matthew Smith hates "My Love," and I say it's great. Yeah, the 1980 McCartney interview album. Is that where he talks about that? I mean, I have that album and I remember hearing it a lot back in the day, but I didn't remember that part of it. So, hello, Trish, DJ Trish, from what's going on over there in Jersey? Oh, really? The bum note at the end fits. My love is beautiful. It sure is. Why isn't that right, Matthew Smith? This went on long. This went on longer than I wanted to, but like I said, more people are here now than were here in the beginning, so I got to rethink things a little bit here. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think "Little Lamb Dragonfly" is one of the most overpraised songs he ever did. I don't hate it, but I don't think it's that big a deal. Well, I definitely love Uncle Albert Admiral Halsey. I love that one. So, what the hell is the Partridge Family about? It's about a family that happens to be recording stars or singer. Well, they're singers in the TV show. I don't think they're big stars. I don't think they're just a family that's in a band. I think. Hamish Stewart, maybe. Wow, we're on 98 minutes here, folks. I don't like to go much past 90 minutes usually, but yeah, Partridge Family, family of which only one of them could actually play on an instrument. Yeah. Yeah, me too. Red Rose Speedway. Well, it's not my number one least favorite, but it's down there. It's down there. I do like a few songs off it, but it's he hasn't found his stride yet. You know, he's still floundering around trying to find his stride on that. Although I love Ram, so David Cassidy could play guitar. That's it for the Partridges. It's definitely American. Yeah, it's very American, I would say. I didn't like it much, but the archive edition increased my appreciation for it. You're talking about Little Lamb Dragonfly, yes? I think that the double album, the double album is better actually than the single album of Red Rose Speedway. And originally, Paul wanted it to be a double album, but the record company would have no part of that. I understand it. And people say, well, the argument always is, at least from like Tom and Andy, they always say, well, how come Yoko Ono had a double album? I actually tried watching the Partridge Family. I found it. I didn't like it too much, actually. I still can watch the Brady Bunch in a way, but the Partridge Family, I don't know. I didn't watch a lot of Partridge Family. I mean, I found a cheap DVD. I watched like 4 or 5 episodes. And I was like, this isn't doing it. In terms of overall music quality, not quantity, which Beatle rises to the top? Interesting you should say that. I don't. That's a hard one. John and Paul, if you're not talking about quantity, because John hasn't been here in 45 years, if you're talking about quality, I think it's kind of even. But I still think Paul, even though I'm a John guy per se, I still think Paul was the most talented Beatle and most gifted Beatle out of all of them. Partridge Family is a time capsule, cringeworthy now, although as a kid I loved them. When you're talking about post-Beatles career with that, I'll give it to Paul. If you're talking about post-Beatles career, I'll give it to Paul. I'm not interested in Jurassic Park, honestly. I never care. I think I saw one of them. And one I saw was only a few years ago. I never saw the original one. I have not seen Midas Man yet. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff in there that's not accurate. There's always some inaccuracies. Beginning with the fact that his name was pronounced, he liked to pronounce his name Brian Epstein, not Epstein. So Stein is correct, Steen is not, he says his own name is Epstein in the movie, so that's wrong. Well, what's the best Beatles bootleg CD? Look for Yellow Dog. Some of the Yellow Dog ones, maybe. What was the first female you fell in love with off TV when you were younger? First TV crush? I'm going to go with the girls from a show called Petticoat Junction. I don't know if you know that show. Petticoat Junction, Billy Joe, Bobby Joe, Betty Joe. 3 beautiful women. And then it was Barbara Eden from My Dream of Jeannie. And those, I think, and later was Jacqueline Smith from Charlie's Angels. So Petticoat Junction girls, right? Barbara Eden and Jacqueline Smith. Yeah, Broderick Crawford. No. And he always ask about Miss Jane. I know. Paul had the best work ethic of the others. John was less commercial in his approach to music. Yep. His lyrics were deeper than Paul's. When you think of the solo writing, yeah, I go yes to all that. Judy from Lost in Space. There you go. Yeah, I talked about Spies Like Us a little earlier, but now you're talking about the whole package. I like the song a lot. The lyrics aren't good. The lyrics are silly. Don't care because it rocks and it has great guitar in there and it's Paul screaming and stuff. Great. The music video, I like the beginning part when they walk into the studio. All the parts that have Paul in it. I like to see the music video. I guess the music video is a thumbs up because Paul's in there, along with Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd and playing piano and all that, and playing guitar in it. So the movie sucked. I saw the movie. I thought the movie sucked. I don't remember a thing about it, except that I saw it in 1985, and I thought it sucked. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Bum, 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 bum. Does Mikey Arugula have any other display cabinets for his collection? That room he fills in is pretty cramped. He's got a lot of stuff in boxes still, and he's got other rooms. Yeah, he's got other rooms. Even in the early days, you could see Paul knows how to work the media, and you see the wheels turning in his head of what he thinks or could be a good idea. Yep. Hi, Joe. Did you like the show Get Smart with Don Adams and Barbara Feldon? First of all, I thought Barbara Feldon was hot when I was a kid. Thought she was really good looking at the time. I didn't like the show as a kid, but I did like the intro. The intro when they pull up to the building, Don Adams gets out of his car and all those secret doors open up. I like the intro. Save it up for my first tattoo. It's going to be Imagine. Well, if you're going to get a tattoo, I'm glad it's going to be Imagine. That's a good choice. I was going to mention this too, but who the hell knows? Yeah, Penny from Lost in Space. Yeah, I'm a Penny guy. I'm a Penny and Judy more. Both. When I was younger, of course. Hello, Harold. Hello, Harold. A lot of people just getting here now. I don't understand it. Saturday is not really a work day for everybody, yet more people here later than earlier. So I got to rethink my time to start this. But I got to get off soon because I don't want these to go too long, and it's already gone long. In fact, I might have to go now because my legs are also giving me a problem here. I'm cramped. I'm sitting at the edge of the chair to lean forward, and it's kind of digging in. So I'm going to end it here. So anyway, folks, I'll try to be back every Saturday next week. Maybe I'll start a little later. Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to think about that, Lila, that question that you asked. And I will say that I think that George Harrison somewhere in England is not as bad as people think it is. I think it's underrated. And that's all I can say for now. So thank you, everybody. I want to repeat a couple of things. First of all, once again, Ringo Starr is going to be on TV on CBS in the States, right? If you're in the U.S., it's CBS at, I know it's 8 p.m. Eastern time. But also, very importantly to us, the Talk More Talk show that we did is going to drop Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern. So check Talk More Talk and subscribe to Talk More Talk, please. Help us get to 2,000 over there, subs. And it's going to have Madeline Baccaro, Yoko author, but also we're going to have Dan Richter, who was personal friend and worker and knows all about the relationship of John and Yoko. And he was with them from 1969 to 73. So the two of them were together talking to us, and it was a good show. So thank you, everybody. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate everybody. I'm looking forward to doing this already next Saturday, and it's and we're gonna wait a whole week. But who knows? Maybe I'll surprise you once in a while with another time start or something. Because I know not everybody can get here at the same time, and same days, same times. So thank you all, everybody. Talk soon. Bye.